Hey, hi all. Welcome back to BLR Knowledge Center. In this today's session, we'll talk about microservices and its architecture, how it is helping and resolving the kind of entire architecture or modularized architecture of development. So, microservices is a concept of architectural style where it is evolving the drawbacks and the problems of the earlier architectures like monolithic kind of development or modularized development. Okay, so as a kind of architectural style is a family of architecture that shares certain characteristics. If you look at the entire architecture, basically having different layers, uh, we can call it as entire architecture. So entire is a common architecture style. More recently, micro architecture have started to gain favor over this. Okay, so when you talk about microservices, so we have kind of advantages, couple of advantages. And to demonstrate this, I'll take a kind of a case study like online shopping application, which starts with kind of models, or we can call it as a monolithic architecture kind of stuff. So if you go to the, my next page here, so here I have a kind of application. If you look at here, which is a monolithic architecture, and it has orders, catalog, and payment, right? So this is what the application which resides everything in one application. All the stuff is living in the same repository or same folder or same kind of source, which will have everything inside of my application. So we'll try to figure out like transform this application to use kind of modularized architecture. So and then we'll see like what are all the problems with that modularized architecture, and then what are all the advantages of going with microservices. Starts here, for example, by saying that for now we are started developing application, and in the first application it is just a few lines of code. But as the application evolves and as a user uses the application and it gets more successful and wants to add more features and kind of application challenging for the development team, and then you need to add a feature or to implement all those features. See, everything we are doing in a single kind of source, which is nothing but a monolithic. This can be called as a monolithic. That's how we initially starting a development. So it is this in this monolithic architecture, it appears everything is inside of your kind of single application, which contains all the application business logics and the abuse UI and the web services. All of them are implemented inside of app like this. Okay, like if I have a catalog where it contains orders and each order payment which you are going to through payment service, these three are services, if you can say, are kind of business logic which is inside of this application. So instead of having all the source code living in one repository, because this monolithic is having that one, so all the code with no abstraction and a different responsibility for each part, and want to implement layered architecture kind of stuff. So I'll just going to the modularized approach here, which is again having a layer number which contains the model number one, which runs of catalog, and then other layer called orders, and other layer called payments. And of course, we might have other many layers. And again, it is a separation of the responsibilities with the different models implemented inside of one single structured application that is called modularized application. So having this architecture, it is not enough to make innovation faster and to deploy and add other features to the application, because here I still have million lines of code, and as the development team might add other member to help in them to add even more features, maybe dozens or hundreds of developers. So it's really a pain to work on some project, right? Same project. So I think to that, the complexity of the code here will have million lines of code, and it's a bit difficult to deploy. And what the application is already doing, and it's again kind of difficult in understanding to know the what it is doing and adding a feature deploy. So first of all, we said that the updates are a bit difficult here. This is what one of the drawback with the modularized approach. So that means if you wanted to update or add a feature to the existing code, which is a million lines of code in the single application, bit difficult to a developer, and you definitely require to take a help from other developer who is already aware of knowing the existing framework and existing business logic flow. So, and also another one is team management. So we also mentioned the team management and the deployment and other stuff, because people are working on this, well, let's say like model one, which is catalog team, which is working on that, and another team is working on orders, and another team is working on payment. So all are working in the same application. There might be a problem. Definitely there will be a problem because it is purely coupled and no a separation, individual development going on this, because everything is in a single application. Even separation of code is done. So all things are happening in the single inside of one application. So at the same time, if you wanted to deploy the future kind of payment with some change, you need to look at all the impacts of other models, and then you need to deploy it complete setup here. So to make development and deployment faster, another kind of advantages to solve here. So microservices comes into the play here. So microservices is kind of small feature or module functionality inside the application that we leave and dependently in a separate process. Here microservice one, a catalog, microservice two, orders, microservice three, payment. Okay, so separately it is built on the different layers. Okay, so here in the microservice, so each model and extract the microservice first model and then separate microservice. So let's say that now we will have a catalog which will implement catalog and orders and payments. Now what this means is that, so we have extracted a complete single application into a model application to a separate process. In my application, each one is a microservice that independent from other microservices and boost one deployment and development, because they live inside the process inside different application servers. So now with this, it resolve all the above problems, and also we can say this is kind of a service oriented architecture here now. And microservices is small model, hence it also have minimal lines of code in separation folder and a repository. Hence updates are very easy here, because if you look at here, kind of this is in different repository and different folder and different model. So which will again not have any dependency with this other microservices, because we have already separated, and this is separated process to be served in different components in the same server. So microservices has its dedicated team, hence team management also very easy. I can say it's a two-feature team, and it is invented by Amazon that a team working on microservices should not bigger than a team that could eat two pizzas. So that means a team around maybe 8 or 10 members should work on microservice. So along with this, still there are some other cons with microservices, like for beginners, it's somewhat understanding and knowing of process and everything is very easy for understanding, because it doesn't have any dependency. And coming to the deployment, that is again, it is a separated process of each microservice, and you can independently deploy it and no need to test and verify other models. So deployment also very easy for us. And maintainability, again, it is smaller change also. We can deploy it without having tension on testing of other areas, because it's a separate process which is running in different server component and can be deployed in different service also, different server also. So no need of worrying on other areas as like monolithic or modularized architecture. Okay, so this is all about smaller changes can be easily maintained. And coming to the multi-programming languages, this is another benefit we have in microservice. Like microservices can be done in different languages. Let us say like the microservice one done in C# and ASP.NET Core, and this microservice 2 was done in Java and Spring Boot, and microservice 3 was done in Python and Flask, and like that. So we can do a microservice development in different programming languages and then deploy it independently and then use it in your application. So no need of worrying like, it should be in the same language or it should be in the same technology kind of, guidelines or process, which we are doing it in Monolithic. Okay. And coming to the DB, multi-DB engines, we have it. That means microservice can be connected to SQL Server, and the service 2 can be connected to Oracle. And this service 3 could be in Mongo. So like that, we have different DB engines, hence microservices can be faster for retrieval and access and commuting different microservices from the app. And also inside of microservices, you can easily navigate through different protocols. We can use it here, HTTP or HTTPS. And if it is an REST API, you can use REST API, SOAP headers kind of stuff. And if you wanted to commuting the or accessing or connecting to asynchronous kind of API methods from the microservice, so you can use queues concept or message broker concept here, and that also we can achieve it in microservices. So where it doesn't depend on any response, and it will start executing the process back in the background, and other requests can still process and respond very faster. So these are some kind of advantages we have in microservices, and it's kind of an architectural style what I said, and we must transform to this architecture style from tier architecture or modularized architecture to get benefited with these areas, or in these areas to get benefit. So I hope you understand the microservices advantages and the problems of existing monolithic development or monolithic service here. So with that microservices, we have so many kind of advantages, but still we have some drawbacks with this, like kind of development, because as a beginner, I think you must understand the process of developing microservices. So it's a bit difficult for the beginners, but going on and growing on and getting an experience with this service development, and it is very easy for even beginners. And second thing was the data flow, because as I mentioned, it will be in different language or different database. When there are multiple requests that are coming and going from here, I think you will be bit confused about the flow of data which is coming from different DBs to kind of services, and then it is coming back to your app, getting confusing here. But still you can get understand with this when things are evolves. Okay, so I hope you understand the microservices concept here and advantage of having microservices architecture. And I think it's a kind of a right time to move or transform your existing services or existing development to microservices. If still not it started this. So thanks for listening to this video, and please subscribe this channel for more videos. Thank you.